Are Yggdrasil Rebirth engine and Portent of Calamity actually playable modern cards? Let's use them to cheat in Emrakul the Eonstorn into play and try to find out. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for some more Modern action. Today we're into Modern to play a super spicy Emrakul deck. We're playing an Yggdrasil deck that's looking to cheat Emrakul into play, but the way it's trying to cheat Emrakul into play is super unique. We're using Yggdrasil Rebirth engine from the Assassin's Creed set, and also Portent of Calamity from Bloomburrow. So let's talk about this deck, the wacky things it's trying to do, jump into a Modern league and see the deck in action. So to understand the deck, we gotta start with our 4 creatures, our 4 Yggdrasil. So number 1, Emrakul the Eonstorn. This is our thing that we want to cheat into play. One thing I've learned about Modern, and really Magic in general over the years, is if you can get Emrakul on the battlefield, you're probably gonna win the game. It's super hard to kill, it's huge, it annihilates your opponent's board. If we cast it, we even get an extra turn out of it. So this is our cheat into play threat. Unlikely to hard cast it, it's like technically possible, but really it's the cheat into play. Sire 7S Null Drifter, our mid-range Yggdrasil. Sire 7S, it's a card that I wasn't sure was going to be good enough for Modern since it doesn't have haste, but it does have a ton of other keywords, and if it sticks, it can take over a game as a 7/7 life-linking, reaching, trampling, menacing, vigilance, first striking, warded threat. Null Drifter, we can evoke it early to draw some cards, or we can cast it later as a big annihilating flyer. So a Microspawn, our worst Yggdrasil for cheating into play, since it's just a 3/3, but it's really good at finding specific lands, and one of the things that makes this deck work is we got some really powerful lands. Ugin Labyrinth, Yggdrasil Temple, let us have lands that tap for multiple mana, really good with all of our expensive Yggdrasil. Plus Ugin's Labyrinth takes advantage of like Sire 7S Null Drifter, giving us these 7+ mana colorless things to exile to turn it into an ancient tomb that doesn't cost us any life. And then Beseiju shelters all. Old Beseiju, this is the one that makes a spell uncounterable. You don't see it very often. It's just a 1-up, but it's a really good tutor target for certain matchups because we can snag it with Sowing Microspawn and then use it to make Portent of Calamity uncounterable against control. So speaking of Portent of Calamity, next up we got our ways of cheating big things into play, and this is what really caught my eye about this deck, is we're doing this in a very non-traditional way. There's no through the breaches or anything like that here. Way number 1 is Yggdrasil Rebirth engine, this weird Assassin's Creed artifact. When it enters, we exile all the cards from our graveyard, then we can tap it to exile the top 3 cards of our library, then we can pay 4 and tap it to put a creature exiled with it into play with haste only as a sorcery. So in our perfect world, on turn 1 we want to ramp with like an Ugin's Labyrinth. Hopefully on turn 2 we get down Yggdrasil, then we tap it and hope to exile like an Emrakul or a Sire, a Null Drifter. Next turn, put it into play with haste, probably just win the game on the spot. The exiling from the graveyard mode, I don't think it's super important, but it does synergize with Null Drifter. We can like evoke a Null Drifter to get in the graveyard, Yggdrasil to exile it, and then cheat it into play, annihilate our opponent, blah 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 blah. Way number 2, Portent of Calamity. This is a weird one as well. So it's blue and X for a sorcery that reveals the top X cards of our library. Then for each card type, so creature, artifact, enchantment, planeswalker, blah 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 blah, we get to exile one of those cards. So 1 card of each card type. And then if we have at least 4 different card types exiled, we get to cast one of those cards for free, and then the rest of those cards go into our hand. Anything we didn't exile goes into the graveyard. So essentially, we want to just make a bunch of mana and cast this like X7 or 8 or 10 or 20, and trust that we're going to hit an Emrakul and some other card types, cast the Emrakul for free, get the extra turn, annihilate our opponent's board, win the game. So that's our plan for cheating our big things into play. The rest of our deck, Ancient Stirrings just digs to find our pieces. Kozilek's Command, one of the most absurd cards from Modern Horizons 3. The card is so ridiculous. It just does a little bit of everything. It's removal, it's card advantage, it's graveyard hate, and it can be our way to hardcast Emrakul. The one way we can realistically get 15 mana for Emrakul is cast a Kozilek's Command to make like 6 or 8 spawn tokens, and then use those spawns to cast the Emrakul the next turn to close out the game. Dismember for removal, Talisman of Curiosity, a little bit more ramp in the sideboard, Tormod's Crypt for graveyard hate, some artifacting and Haywire Might and Consign to Memory, Mystical Dispute is a counterspell, Dismember for more removal, Stonebrain for combo, and that is Yggdrasil Rebirth engine, Portent of Calamity, Yggdrasil for Modern. That's our deck for today. So let's jump into a league and see if Assassin's Creed is actually working in Modern. Is Portent of Calamity actually good? Let's find out. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap up. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats, tokens, and more over at MTGGoldfishMerch.com. Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/MTGGoldfish. It is Yggdrasil. Wow. It's a lot of Eldrazi temples. I mean, we're gonna keep this. We are playing some Assassin's Creed in Modern. Against all odds, Assassin's Creed apparently might have made one card that is sort of playable. An Yggdrasil Rebirth engine. Well, Eldrazi Temple go. So we're gonna see if it's good. Also, we have Portent of Calamity, which I'm very curious if Portent of Calamity is actually a good card. Is Portent of Calamity actually a realistic way to cheat an Eldrazi into play? Opponent with the Raccoon Theater. Gonna do a little surveilling. Gonna keep it on top. Well, I mean, we can't just play a turn 3 Sire 7-Death and be like, can you kill it? Oh, Kozilek's Command. Oh, Kozilek's Command. That's so good. Well, we're gonna play the Talisman because we actually want colored mana here. Well, now we might not have a decision. The decision was going to be Sire or Kozilek's Command, but Kozilek's Command off the table. Apparently our opponent believes they can defeat the Sire of 7-Deaths. Even more surveillance. All right, they're doing some reanimating, apparently. Another Portent. Well, yeah, I really wish we had that Kozilek's Command to make some non-Eldrazi mana, but we can play this Sire 7-Deaths. Not very good against Archon, unfortunately. Oh, we might have to cast a very sad Portent of Calamity. Portent X3 is so rough because it's not even possible. Well, I don't think it's possible in our deck to actually hit 4 different card types. But we got to exile 4. Yeah, there's no way we can get the free spell out of it. And even if it is X equal 4, the odds of exactly hitting it are not especially high. Opponent. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Well, now the question is, do we need to leave up Dismember? Maybe. Dugan's Labyrinth. Also a little sad at the moment. And I mean, we have to cast a little mini Portent here. 1, 2, and 3. All right, X equal 3. Be good, Portent of Calamity. Well, I mean, I guess as far as X equal 3 goes, that's actually not bad. Play a Breeding Pool untapped. And now if our opponent tries to Indomitable Creativity, at least we can kill what they target. And then maybe we just go over the top of an Archon. Like with Sire and Eldrifter, maybe we can just go bigger. Opponent, Ren and Thoughtseiz's discarded. We can also hardcast this Null-Drifter next turn. And then eventually this Portent. Give it time. Give it time. I mean, I guess that 4-mana draw 3 is actually not horrible. Opponent's going to Faithless Looting. Okay. Gonna try to reanimate the Archon. Although if they persist the Highway Robbery. Interesting. No Archons. If they persist the Archon, we can dismember it because it gets -1, -1. Ren and 6. Okay. That doesn't kill the Sire, though. Gonna get back to Foothills. I mean, this is kind of fine. Like, sure, you get a treasure that we can't dismember, but we go up to 31, thanks to the Sire. All right, opponent passes. We find Sowing Myco Spawn. Ooh, that might actually be better than Null-Drifter here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's better? Is Null-Drifter still just better? I kind of like putting our opponent down a land, though. Yeah, I think we got to put our opponent down a land. So let's Sowing Myco's Spawn with Kicker. Putting our opponent down a land is going to make it harder for them to Indomitable Creativity for more than 1. So we'll snipe a Raccoon Theater. I guess just an Eldrazi Temple. We'll get all the Eldrazi Temples. Put our opponent down a land. Cast another Talisman. Dugan's Labyrinth. We will exile the Null-Drifter for now. I think it's worth it. Because this sets us up to cast a big Portent next turn. So we have Dismember this turn. Big Portent next turn. And our opponent, I believe, can only go X1, right? With their Indomitable Creativity. So I guess, okay, what our opponent could try to do, they can get back the fetch. Because of the Dismember, they can only resolve X1. They can crack the fetch, get the Dwarven Mine, crack the treasure, try to go X2, but then we just dismember something and they get 1 Archon, and then we sack Sowing Myco Spawn and win with the Sire. That's got to be their plan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Indomitable Creativity. Well, we will dismember something. Gets Archon of Cruelty. We'll sack the Myco Spawn. Lose our Portent, sadly. Opponent goes back up to 4, but we have a menacing 7/7, and opponent scoops it up and taking down the new hotness. Oh, do we Stonebrain them? Stonebrain on Archon probably just beats them. Like, the Tormod's Crypts are good against the backup plan of reanimating. Maybe we, like, go down to Portent, go down to Myco Spawn. Although Myco Spawn, well, we're going to be on the draw. And maybe we go down, like, a Dismember for a Tormod's Crypt. And maybe like one Sire for a Tormod's Crypt. Well, game 1 went pretty well. Although this matchup is scary. Archon of Cruelty is a strong card. Whoa. We got the Stonebrain, but is it gonna be fast enough? So turn 1, Ancient Stirrings, dig for a Soul Land. Turn 2, Stonebrain. Turn 3, nothing. We gotta try it. The upside of the Stonebrain is just so big. It's so big. It's our one sideboard card that we actually care about in this matchup, and getting rid of all the Archons should roughly be the equivalent of winning the game. It's not literally winning the game, but it is pretty close to winning the game. Gonna start with it. Oh, this is interesting. So there's gotta be okay, Archon. Well, new plan. Ancient Stirrings to find a Tormod's Crypt in our top 5 cards, please. They're gonna persist it. They're gonna persist it this turn. All right, so, well, I mean, Forest and Ancient Stirrings. No Tormod's Crypt. Well, we'll take the engine. Oh, if our opponents thought seizing themselves, though, this very clearly means they have persist in hand. There is no way they do this if they're not persisting turn 2. That would just be insanity. Opponent land. And persists the Archon. All right, well, we will discard a Null Drifter. Now the Stone Brain doesn't really do anything, unfortunately, nor does the Tormod's Crypts. Yeah, all right. Yep. Fair enough. We're on the play this game, which should make a difference. I mean, I think that was just about our opponent's best possible draw, though, right? Like, the draw of turn 1 discard, turn 2 reanimate's kind of insane. Kozilek's Command could do some work if we can get to it. Gonna need to find some colorless mana, but it can exile cards from the graveyard. Opponent aggressively mulliganing, trying to find their nut draw. They want that turn 2 Archon. Can they find it? We're gonna see. Well, Misty Rainforest, crack it. Grab a Forest. And Ancient Stirrings. Well, I mean, we're going to take the Uggin's Labyrinth. Not thrilled about it since we don't have something to exile to it at the moment, but pass the turn. See how bonkers our opponent's start is. And passing? Okay, that's fine. I don't know if we want to show our opponent the Stonebrain. I think what we do is, you know what? Let's just play it safe. We'll Breeding Pool untapped. Run out the Talisman of Curiosity. Ancient Stirrings. Oh, we gotta take the Yggdrasil. That's what this is all about. Take the Yggdrasil, the rest go to the bottom. Some argument for taking an expensive thing just to exile to the Uggin's Labyrinth, but thanks to Talisman of Curiosity, we can cast our Kozilek's Command anyway. Raucous Theater. We do need to hope they don't just surveil an Archon here. That would be brutal. All right, no surveilled Archon. They do leave on top. All right, this is a big turn. Opponent, Stomping Grounds. Ooh, and we even get the Null Drifter, right? Uggin's Labyrinth. I mean, we gotta do it. We gotta put an end to these shenanigans. As much as I want to Yggdrasil here, we got a Stonebrain and 1 and 2, and I think we want to get rid of some Archon of Cruelties. I don't know. Some builds have a backup or two. Well, opponents can break the ice. Creativity Fable. How do they beat us though? Fable the Mirror Breaker Ren. Tokens from their silly dwarven minds. Okay, our opponent's gonna annoy us quite a bit by blowing up our lands. The good news is our opponent has no win cons, which means their Faithless Lootings do nothing. It means their Indomitable Creativities do nothing. Essentially, their deck no longer functions. But they can start blowing up our Uggin's Labyrinths. Instead, opponent's just gonna Fable of the Meowbrega and pass the turn. Well, let's see what we find. Gemstone Caverns. We'll play the Gemstone Caverns. So what does this do? All right. Destroy a land that can produce snow or colorless. Overload for 6. I think we just Kozilek's Command, exile and spawn. So make some spawns, exile the Goblin. This is going to make sure that even if our opponent blows up one of our lands, we're still going to have the manas, and they don't get to start making treasures. So if they don't blow up our Uggin's Labyrinth, we tap this. 1, 2, 3 evoke. Play this. We don't have quite enough mana. I was wondering if we could get back the Null Drifter, evoke the Null Drifter. All right, opponent's going to get a Renin 6 and going to get back a Scalding Tarn. Well, I don't know if we really need that at the moment. Well, let's play the Tormod's Crypt. I guess we can get rid of the Faithless Looting. Play the Yggdrasil. And pass the turn. I think our opponent's trying to set up the one-sided Break the Ice Armageddon. Opponent's going to do some surveilling. You know what? I think let's just do this. Tormod's Crypt, get rid of the looting, get rid of the land. This kind of shuts down the Ren. Opponent's going to flip the Saga. I mean, if we spin into the right thing, we do just win the game. Technically 1 mana away from overloading and Break the Ice. Wait, what is this? Meltdown. All right, Meltdown to blow up our Yggdrasil. Well, no reason to exile then. We also lose our Mana Rock, which is kind of annoying. 1, 2. Oh, now I'm actually worried about this Break the Ice, putting us way too far behind. All right, we got to think about this. Well, we need to cast the Null Drifter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we make 5 tokens. All right, so I think what we do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kozilek's Command. Make spawns. Get rid of the reflection. Opponent passing. Well, I think it's Null Drifter time. 1, 2. Nothing in the graveyard still, though. Yeah, all right. We're just going to get back our Null Drifter. Replay the Null Drifter, or play the Null Drifter. Does cost us most of our spawns, but gets us a threat down before this Break the Ice cuts into our mana. Draw a couple cards. Play the Breeding Pool tapped. All right, so opponent, if they have a black source, they can blow up 2 of our lands here. Well, there's a black source. But then we get to start eating away their board with our Null Drifter. We know our opponent's hand. It's Break the Ice, Indomitable Creativity. And Indomitable Creativity does literally nothing because all the Archons chilling in exile thanks to the Stone Brain. Yep. Bring it. Bring it, opponent. Blow up our lands. Sure. Well, we're going to get you back with this Null Drifter at least. Opponent going to get back the land. We probably actually kill the Ren, I think. Although that kind of gives our opponent a free... I think we still do it. It does give our opponent kind of a free sack, but... Well, go to combat. Null Drifter. Our opponent just has so few actual win cons without the Archons that I think if we just kill the things that could theoretically kill us, we're gonna... Wow, they sacked the land. I mean, the Ren's... Okay. Well, opponent, sure. This works out for us. We get rid of the Ren and a land. Maybe they didn't realize we were attacking the Ren. Well, we're going to play another Yggdrasil. See if this one sticks around. I don't even think we play the Eldrazi Temple. It just gets broken. Opponent. All right, are we getting frisky with the dwarf? Bring it, opponent. Get in there. That is a good beard, I will say. I respect the beard game on the dwarf token. Don't really like the deck that much, but the beard game on point. Opponent Scalding Tarn. Thoughtseize to see... Ooh, wait. Did we do it in time? We better have done it in time. We need to activate our Yggdrasil. All right. Opponent cracks the Scalding Tarn. More. I respect our opponent for trying to piece this together. Like, without having access to any of your finishers. Wow, they drew another Meltdown. Sure. We find a Gemstone Cavern. Well, we're going to play this Eldrazi Temple. We're going to Null Drift you. This Null Drifter might just have to go all the way. Null Drift. Make you sack. Opponent goes down a mountain. Their dwarves are precious. Those are the win cons. Dwarves and Faithful the Mirror Breakers gotta get the job done for our opponent, so they can't afford to sack them. Bloodstainmire. We know our opponent's last card. It's another Break the Ice. Opponent combat. Gonna get in and hit us. I mean, we're very easily winning this race, though. Our Null Drifter just hits for way too much damage. Are we blowing up the temple? Dwarven Mine. Dwarven Mine makes a 1/1. Another Yggdrasil. All right, well, go to combat. Null Drift ya. Wow, this was just the Null Drifter game. This was just straight up Null Drifter going to town. Sacks a Dwarven Mine. Well, all right. I mean, 1, 2, 3, Yggdrasil. And Gemstone Caverns, go. I'm kind of surprised our opponent brought in the Meltdowns against us, but I guess just Meltdown to blow up Yggdrasil's good enough. I mean, opponent's got to kill the Null Drifter, or it kills them. Wow, this was the Stonebraid Null Drifter win. It is funny, like, The deck art bonus deck just leans so hard on these Archons that if you can surgically extract or Stonebrain or whatever, like get rid of them somehow, like I realistically do not know how it kills anyone. We saw their deck list. It's really the Fables, the Dwarf tokens, and then I guess theoretically Ren can deal damage, but there's just nothing that actually resembles a threat. I wonder if there's any world, because I've seen a big uptick in surgical extraction in specific. Stonebrain, that's more of like an R deck kind of thing. But I've seen a lot of surgicals recently. I wonder if there's any argument in these Indomitable creativity decks to not play just for Archons. Like, I know Archon's what you want to hit, and the fear is if you start adding in additional finishers, sometimes you're going to creativity into, I don't know, an Emrakul or a whatever, Sphinx of the Steel One, choose some big finisher that's not Archon of Cruelty. Like, sometimes you're going to spin into those, but it is a nice hedge for Surgical Extraction Stonebrain. If you get got by it, at least you're going to have something in your deck to creativity into. So I wonder if, like, there's enough prevalence of extraction effects that maybe these Archon decks need to play Archon and another, like, one-off finisher or two purely as a way to get around things that can extract all the Archons. But for now, we will take the Null Drifter win. Didn't get to do any crazy Yggdrasil stuff because the opponent just kept blowing it up, but sweet. This hand's very interesting. I want to see Portent pop off. We've seen Yggdrasil pop off. We haven't seen Portent pop off yet. I'm still like, is Portent good? It's drawn us some cards. It has not cheated anything into play yet. Sand can make a lot of mana pretty quickly. Steam Vents for our opponent. Untapped. Well, might need to make mana quickly if our opponent's leaning on Ragavan. Well, there's Yggdrasil. Yeah, I mean, I guess we just Ugin's Labyrinth. Ugin's Labyrinth, exile the Null Drifter. Getting in with the stupid monkey. Sure. Ragavan. You know what I realized? I think I just hate what Cyrus 7 does exiled. I think I would just hate whatever the super push one drop from the most recent Modern Horizons is. I think that's actually it. I think that's what I really hate, because now I hate Dismember. Dismember. Okay, what do we do? Opponent missed their land drop. So we can just play Yggdrasil and try to, like, win. Or we can kill this Ragavan to keep our opponent on almost no resources. Like, Yggdrasil can theoretically just win us the game, but do we want our opponent to get in a hit with the Ragavan and steal something? And we're just going to do what we came here to do. Misty, crack it. We're going to do what we came here to do. Hopefully it works out. We're going to grab a forest, and we're going to play Yggdrasil, Rebirth Engine. Nothing to exile, pass the turn. We'll take the monkey hit, and then hopefully we find an Emrakul and win the game. Do your worst opponent, combat. Gets in with both, gets to loot to find a land. Discards a Ragavan, hits us for 4. Stupid monkey hits a Dismember. Ooh, finds the land. That's kind of big for our opponent. That might let them Leyline Binding, actually. Well, all right, let's Yggdrasil, see what we hit. All right, we hit a Sowing Myco spawn. And a Null Drifter. Play the island. Play the Myco spawn. Eldrazi Temple. And pass the turn. So now we have the Dismember up. We also technically have a blocker. It's a Indith Triome. And going to bolt the Myco spawn. All right. Dismember the Kavu. Drop to 9. Oh my God, they have a Stubborn Denial. Oh my jeez. Okay. Yeah, I guess we could have played around that. I was not really expecting Stubborn Denial. Opponent, Territorial Kavu. I mean, if they find a bolt, they just win. Down to 2. The stupid monkey steals a Sire of 7 deaths. Wow! Well, it turns out Ragavan. Still pretty good. I mean, I guess we have to bring in a couple Haywire Maids. Yggdrasil kind of hard whiffed on us there. It's, I'm not sure how good Yggdrasil is or not. Its ceiling seems incredibly high, but then its floor seems very low. And I'm not sure where that leaves us overall. I mean, this hand we're going to keep. We got the Yggdrasil. We got the Kozilek's Command. We got a million Ugins Labyrinths, but nothing to exile to them at the moment. Well, Eldrazi Temple, go. Not going to play the Haywire Might. Opponent does not lead on a ley line, which is nice. Oh, should we have played around Stubborn? Maybe we should have cast the Dismember main phase? They also had very specific hand, having Bolt, Stubborn Denial somehow. Opponent, when it fails, cracks it. Untap down to 17. Stupid monkey. Well, I mean, we can't Kozilek's command it. Can we draw something expensive? That works. Uggin's Labyrinth. Exile the Sire of Seven Deaths. We're going to do a main phase. We learned. We learned from that Stubborn Denial last game. Actually, let's scry draw. That might be better. Let's kill their Bhagavan, scry draw. Let's put on top. Draw the Dismember first. At some point, we do want green mana for this Haywire Might, although since they don't have a ley line, it's not super pressing. By acid. Well, Uggin's Labyrinth, exile the Sire, and yeah, let's get down the Rebirth engine. Yggdrasil. All right, can we high roll with Yggdrasil for once? Let's just get just one little Emrakul high roll. Found it getting the trio. That does mean they do have leyline binding available. And Scion of Draco. I mean, we can't just dismember it. I think we gotta wait till our turn, though. Let's see what we hit off Yggdrasil. Well, we get a Sowing Myco spawn. I guess that's kind of better than nothing, slightly, maybe. Well, there's our green mana for a breeding pool. Tapped. Past the turn, I think we just spin again. When our opponent goes to crack their fetch, if they go to crack the fetch end step, then we'll just dismember the Scion. Don't want to get Stubborn Denial again now that we know about it. All right, so opponent cracks. We'll just do a little dismembering. Get rid of the Scion of Draco. Now you can get your land. Okay, can we get something a little bit better with this Yggdrasil? Sowing Myco spawn without any of its abilities is not worth 4 mana. Bolt our face. Okay, that's fine. We'll even take a Null Drifter. It doesn't even have to be Emrakul. Just a Null Drifter. Even that would be good enough. Ragavan. Opponent gonna get in and hit us. No, God, Null Drifter. Ah, God, we would have got it with the Yggdrasil had we activated it. We had no way of knowing that, so I think it's correct not to activate it, but oh, the stupid monkey keeps doing stupid monkey things. Opponent's gonna play a Flage. Down to 8. Opponent's got 1 card in hand. Okay, can we just hit a real card? Can we just hit a real card? Yggdrasil. Hey, that's an Emrakul. That's an Emrakul. That's an Emrakul. And that is a very dead opponent. We will tap, and hello, opponent. We are going to put a creature exiled with Yggdrasil into play. That creature will not be Sowing Myco spawn. No. That'll be Emrakul the Eon Stored in the end of our opponent's lands, and opponent scoops it up. Whew, maybe we need another Dismember. I really hate getting hit by the monkey. I really hate it. It hurts. Yeah, we'll go up another Dismember. The problem is Dismember also kind of hurts. Yeah, maybe we got one more Portent. All right, well, Yggdrasil took a couple of turns there, a couple of activations, but in the end, it did get the job done. Too bad we don't have something to exile to this, or the sound would be sweet. I think we still, what if they play the monkey? How bad is that? It's annoying. They're on the play. I mean, it's going to be annoying either way. So this is what? Turn 1, Ancient Stirrings. Try to find something for the Labyrinth. Turn 2, Yggdrasil. Is that fast enough? Well, I mean, this we're going to keep. We'll put the breeding pool to the bottom. I guess this still can't exile a stupid monkey on turn 1, but no stupid monkey. Well, that's good news. There's a Sire of Seven Deaths. Misty Rainforest. Crack Misty Rainforest. Grab our Forest and Ancient Stirrings. I mean, I guess it's Kozilek's command. Yeah, take the Kozilek's command. And pass the turn. Opponents cracking the Wooded Foothills. We need another soul land, I think, to be able to scale our Kozilek's commands alongside our opponent's creatures. And there's the Kavu. It's a 4/4. Yeah, see, we can't Kozilek's command it because we're on the draw. So we can Uggin's Labyrinth, exile the Sire of Seven Deaths, pass the turn. If our opponent doesn't have a counter, we can get rid of the Territorial Kavu next turn. Attacks. That is a big 2-drop, though. Opponent gonna do some looting. Aye. Discards a Scion of Draco, which probably means they have multiples. Down to 15. Arena Glory, also pretty scary. Oh, I think we're just dead. So we can try to Kozilek's command, but they just counter, and then what do we even do? Well, Dismember is interesting. Still does not get around our opponent having silly Stubborn Denial. Wooded Foothills. Blood Crypt untapped. No, not another one. Oh, no. Well, that's an unfortunately fast draw. Try to exile a creature, try to make some spawns. Our opponent's religiously left up this blue mana. There is no way there's not a Stubborn Denial here, but I mean, what else are we gonna do? And opponent, has a consigned to memory, okay. So turn 1, Sire. Exile the Ugin's Labyrinth, Mana Rock. Turn 2, we can evoke a Null Drifter, maybe? Control, perhaps? Surveils to the top. Double Ugin's Labyrinth. Well, we're going to start with Ugin's Labyrinth. Exile the Sire. Ugin's Labyrinth's such an insane magic card. Found it, Misty Rainforest. And passing. What are you, icing us? What is going on with this upkeep stop set, opponent? What are we upkeep stop setting? Portent is a little weak to counter spells. We do have a land that can get us... Wow, so many Ugin's Labyrinths. Well, in that case, I guess we just, Ugin's Labyrinth, exile a Sire, and... You know, we're just gonna pass. We're gonna pass. Next turn, we can just hardcast this Null Drifter. Found it. Cycles Lorien revealed. We would like to find the Boseiju. Preferably, hopefully, before we fire off this Portent, although we might have to do what we got to do in the future. We'll see. We have a lot of mana, opponent. Passing. Ooh, Kozilek's Command too. Well, let's play the Yggdrasil Temple. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 manas. Null Drifter, full price. Draw a couple cards. I mean, not a bad turn 3. That's what happens when you draw the Ugin's Labyrinths. And opponent has the counterspell. I mean, we can't really stop that. Our draw 2 was not the best. Opponent, Hall of Heliod's What is this deck? Hall of Heliod's Generosity. Huh. Well, let's play the Breeding Pool. Untapped. And I think we just pass and try to cast a big Kozilek's Command. Memory Deluge. Is this our window? Is this when we do it? The question is Force of Negations. How many forces do they play in the main deck? You know what? I think we just go for it. So spawns Scry Draw. I think it makes more sense to do it now than during our opponent's turn. Like, they can hardcast the Force of Negation anyway, right? So they can still do it during their turn. Doing it now, at least they have to 2-for-1 themselves if they do have the Force. So Kozilek's Command. Wow. Okay. Land to the bottom. Dismember to the bottom. Island to the bottom. Misty to the bottom. Yggdrasil to the top. And Mycospawn to the top. Okay, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. So what this theoretically lets us do is Mycospawn to get OG Boseiju to make our spells uncounterable. And then Portent of Calamity and Kozilek's Command become very real threats. And we get to put our opponent down a land, which is nice, which is probably this Hall of Heliod's Generosity, just because I'm not really sure what they're doing with it. And that's reason enough for me to want to blow it up. Blow up what you don't understand, like in Neanderthal, about it. Are we wrathing the skies? Wrath the skies X1, sure. Well, at least we get to keep our Mana Rock. Oh wait, just kidding, we don't get to keep our Mana Rock. We draw a Yggdrasil. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, I mean, I think we can play the Talisman first, right? Let's play the Talisman. I don't think they're going to counter it. That would be kind of silly. So play the Talisman. Mycospawn with Kicker. And this is finally the time for that Boseiju to shine. So we're going to nuke this Hall of Heliod's Generosity just because it frightens me. I don't know what they're playing it for, but we're going to get this Boseiju. Do we play? Yeah, I mean, I guess we play the sad Ugin's Labyrinth. It's better than not playing anything. Pass the turn. All right, now we can Portent without having to worry about our opponent countering it, which is real nice. Brain Surge, gonna draw some cards. But now I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. So we can Portent for 8? I think we probably just Portent for 8 here. And wait, does this get shut down to Fairy? Reveal the top deck cards of your library. For each card type, exile 1. For the rest, go to your graveyard. You may cast a spell from among the exiled cards. I think the Fairy does shut it down. Well, I guess that's a reason to do it now. Opponent grabs an island. Gemstone Caverns. Well, let's get in with the Mycospawn. And let's do some portenting, see what happens. Gemstone Caverns. Ouch. Boseiju. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This should find us something good, right? This is a big Portent of Calamity. Is it finally time for the Bloomburrow Rare to shine in Modern? All right, opponent, can't counter it. Okay, you can dress down. That's fine. The good news is if we hit an Emrakul, it's a cast trigger anyway. Oh, and we do. Wait, do we hit enough card types? Instant? Actually, no. Instant should be Kozilek's Command. Instant sorcery land Emrakul. Yes. And yes, we would like to cast in Emrakul the Eon Storm. And opponent scoops it up. And I mean, that's the plan against control, right? That is straight up the plan against control. Find the Boseiju, cast the big portent, make him die. And Yeah, Portent finally coming through. We only took 3 Uggin's Labyrinths. Yggdrasil's been really good. Portent's a little bit more medium, but it was really good there. And now we get to bring in some counters, some mystical disputes of our own. Bring in the mystical disputes. Go down, dismembers. Torment Script, no. Stonebrain, probably. Probably not. Wait, why are they playing Hall of... Oh my god. Oh, you know what I think happened? Okay, this might be wrong. But... here's my guess. I was looking at this blue-white control list that recently 5-0'd. You know what I think could have happened is maybe our opponent met Hall of the Storm Giants and put in Hall of Heliod's Generosity instead because the name is similar. That's the best I can think of because, I mean, or it's trying to loop dress downs, which I guess also makes sense. Although, boy, that's a lot of effort for 2 dress downs. But I guess that's maybe more likely. All right, what's our final cut? Maybe just Sire. Sire 7 does. I feel like this is the worst matchup for Sire, right? It's like just gonna die. It's gonna get Wrath. At least Null Drifter, Emrakul, Mike Spawn. At least they do things, even if they get dealt with. All right, run it back. Opponent's gonna be on the play. Oh, we got the Besiju in hand. Okay. Oh, and we have the Gemstone Caverns. Oh, this is actually insane. Yes, we will keep this. We will lead with Gemstone Caverns. For free, what do we exile, though? It's either Talisman or Ancient Stirrings. I think we exile Ancient Stirrings. We can theoretically Talisman on 1 if we want to. Null Drifter. Well, Misty Rainforest. Crack the Misty Rainforest. Grab a Breeding Pool and get down our Talisman of Curiosity. So next turn we can evoke a Null Drifter, which we probably will. Plus, getting on the graveyard's not bad with Yggdrasil. Opponent, Island, and Stony Silence. Okay, so that shuts down a couple of our things, and we didn't actually bring in an answer for that. That's awkward. Well, Uggin's Labyrinth is good. So Uggin's Labyrinth, a Null Drifter. Do we just Myco? Yeah, let's just Myco Spawn. I think it's worth it. Run out the Myco Spawn. Snag, I think Eldrazi Temple. Grab the Eldrazi Temple. I mean, if we can't use our artifacts, then we just gotta kill our opponent, I guess. That's on you, opponent. We would rather be using our artifacts, but if you insist on us making you die, I guess we'll do it. Untap land would kind of be sweet here for the Null Drifter. That works. Well, go to combat. And let's Breeding Pool untapped. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I mean, we're going to cast this Null Drifter. They could theoretically have Consigned to Memory to counter it in the trigger, which would be annoying. But if they counter the Null Drifter, it's not the end of the world. We mostly want to draw the cards. Wow, Cycles Shark Typhoon. That is desperate. So they're desperately trying to find a counter. They do not find a counter. All right, opponent. Well, and we got this Besiju coming with the Portent. This might be looking grim for our opponent. We're just making like twice as much mana. I feel like I'm playing Commander. And our opponent's like the Grixis deck, and I'm the Simic deck, and we just have twice as much mana. Opponent, Teferi Time Raveler. Gonna bounce the Null Drifter, sure. I mean, we're kind of okay with that. We'll cast it and draw more cards. Plus, we get to kill your Teferi, which we do need to kill the Teferi because it's shutting down our Portent. So kill the Teferi, Null Drift Part 2, and then we're probably just going to play this Besiju, I think, to set up a Portent next turn, or a Kozilek's Command. All right, play the Besiju, pass the turn. The one Besiju has been so clunky, but this match, I am so thankful we have. Like, I'm pretty sure this single land is winning us this game, like pretty much by itself. Although honestly, we're not doing too bad even without it so far with with the quick Myco spawn into Null Drifter. It seems tough for Control to keep up with this. Found it, does some Brain Surgeon, finds a land, pass it. I wonder if they sack the Stony Silence maybe. It doesn't feel like it's doing much at the moment. Another Portent. Well, we're definitely going to Portent this turn because we have a million of... Wow, okay, get in there. Annihilate ya. Opponent does sack the Stony Silence. Why you sack the Stony Silence? Or to sack the Stony Silence, sack the Stony Silence, sack the Stony Silence. It's not that hard. I don't know. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time. I guess it is kind of a tongue twister, but... Oh, all right. So let's see. Make it uncounterable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All right, Portent. Uncounterable Portent. Give us some goodies. And we will take, okay, Emrakul, land. Oh, we didn't hit the card types. Oh, this doesn't work. Oh, that's so awkward. Okay. We will take Null Drifter, Uggin's Labyrinth, Kozilek's Command. All right, so 8 mana draw 3. Shuffle our graveyard back in our library. So Portent, just so it's clear, because Wow, opponent scoops it up. Just so it's clear, because it's a weird wordy card, you have to hit at least 4 card types if you want the free spell. If you want to cast something for free, you got to hit at least 4 card types. If you hit less than 4, you still get to put 1 of each card type into your hand, but you're not going to get the free spell. So there, we only get 3 card types, so we can't actually free cast the Emrakul, so there's no reason to put it in hand, so we might as well just take the Mulldrifters and so forth. But that went hilariously well. I feel like Control has got to be one of our best matchups, especially with OG Boseiju. Boseiju shelters all. It just seems unbeatable because our opponent's plan for stopping these big spells is just to leave up a counter, but Boseiju makes it impossible, so sweet. Oh, yeah, we can't really keep this. 1 land. We have as many Emrakuls as lands. That's usually not a way to win a game of Magic. We want more lands than Emrakuls, traditionally. I mean, we're going to keep it. What do we put to the bottom? That's the trick. Probably Talisman? Although turn 1 Talisman is so good. So we can turn 1 Labyrinth, Nulldrifter, Talisman, and then turn 2 nothing? Yeah, let's just put the Talisman to the bottom. I think that's all right. Yeah, let's Breeding Pool untapped, Ancient Stirrings. Do a little digging. Well, I mean, we got to go for the gold here. We're going to take Yggdrasil. There's some world where we just take like another Nulldrifter, but next turn we can get down the Yggdrasil off the Ugin's Labyrinth and maybe win on turn 3. Ooh, blue manas. Scary, scary. That could mean counterspell action. That is a nice island. Tamiyo passing. Ancient Stirrings. Well, Ugin's Labyrinth. We gotta go for the gold. Exile the Nulldrifter. 1, 2, 3. Yggdrasil. Do you have a force? Yes. All right, force pitching Psychic Frog. Well, that's unfortunate. And gonna get in with the Tamiyo. Oh, and they even get to dig out of their mulligan with the Tamiyo clues. Well, let's play the Eldrazi Temple. Ancient Stirrings. Yggdrasil or Sowing Mycospawn? That's the question. Oh, I think we gotta take Mycospawn here. Mycospawn's so good next turn. So take the Mycospawn, put the rest to the bottom. When our opponent goes to crack this clue, if they do, we are just going to Kozilek's Command away the Tamiyo. All right, there's the clue. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. If they have another one, then I guess that's a bummer. But we are going to Scry Draw, Exile Tamiyo. You have another force. No. Put you on top, and also put you on top. Land destruction, here we come. Tamiyo down for now. 2 Mycospawns in hand. Opponent kind of needs something big this turn. These Mycospawns trigger even if they counter them. Wow. Desperation, Cling to Dust. If they miss this land drop, oh my goodness. Oh no. This might be the early concession. I don't feel bad because they're playing the silly frog, but all right, we will just tap a little bit of mana here. Just a little bit of mana, and we'll just kick this Sowing Mycospawn. All right, now we are officially a land destruction deck. And we'll get rid of this island, and we'll do a little tutoring, and do we scoop it up? That is brutal. We're going to take the Boseiju to make sure this Portent can resolve in the future and pass the turn. Our opponent might be in a bit of trouble with their beautiful basics. Oh, okay. Polluted Delta. Opponent putting up a fight. Undercity Zors. Although, Mills of Frog, I think... Oh, do they have a thought? Oh, they have a Fatal Push. Okay. We could just Portent here, but it's probably better just to Mycospawn again. So, yeah, let's just do that again. How many Mycospawns can our opponent survive? Mycospawn? Exile your land. An opponent decides that 2 is the magic number and scoops it up. What do we want against Dimir Murktide? We gotta be able to kill frogs. Mystic Disputes, Dismembers, I guess, are probably the big ones. Dismembers, Mystic Disputes, but what can we cut to bring these in? Maybe we can't bring in all of them? I feel like Mycospawn's actually probably the easiest cut. Maybe it's like something like that, maybe a Sire. I mean, I guess we can just trim a bunch. Maybe we go 3 Mystic Disputes. Can we go down an Emrakul? Is that insane? It makes Portent worse. It makes Yggdrasil worse, but one of our Mycospawn, even though Mycospawn was so good that game, I think let's try it like this. Especially being on the draw, we need the Dismembers to be able to answer frogs and Tamiyos, or else they can just get out of hand so quick. Awkward. Or good. Yeah, I mean, I guess we can keep this. Mostly because of the Dismember. We do need a colored source of mana, but the Dismember is good. Well, there's another Nulldrifter. Would love to just draw like a fetch so we can evoke a Nulldrifter. You know what? We're just going to Dismember right now. If they want to force blue card into pitch their hand. I guess that's fine. They'll be down to 3 cards in hand, which I think we can deal with that. We don't want the Tamiyo to start making clues. Frog. All right. Blue mana, maybe? Portent of Calamity. Well, play the land. Oh, we got a lot of mana. We just can't actually spend it on anything. And now we get Frogged. I feel like Frog is a problem for our deck. I feel like Frog is a straight up problem just because we don't have that much removal and it is so snowbally. Yeah, well, there's a Frog, draws a card, up to 5 in hand. We might not cast another spell this game unless we draw a colored source of mana. Okay. I mean, Kozilek's Command is great if we can resolve it and exile this Frog, which I don't know what the odds of that are. Get a Surveil land. Yeah, Surveil's away a Frog. We're just going to upkeep it. All right, well, here goes nothing. Kozilek's Command. Exile the Frog. Scry draw. Oh, if this resolves, we actually are in okay shape. If this gets countered, things are sad. Okay, Slinking a Stupor to bounce it. I mean, that is super annoying, although this mean we probably get to kill the Frog during our turn? Oh, are they going to reanimate an Oculus? Psychic Frog hits us. Psychic Frog. Down to 13. Watery Grave. Untapped. Unearth the Oculus. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That is pretty bad. Now I'm not even sure drawing a land matters. It might just be too late. Another Eldrazi Temple. Well, we play the Eldrazi Temple. I mean, exile a creature. Make some spawns, I guess. So make some spawns. We gotta go Oculus. Well, for being colorless, we're sort of trying to stay in it. All right, that works. So Oculus down for now. Next turn, we can theoretically cast things. Opponent gonna Thought Scour. Mills, a couple of lands, nothing of relevance. They could have a Murktide. And, all right, gonna send the Frog to the air. Gonna get in. I mean, we're gonna take it. Down to 9. Well, what else does our opponent have? Polluted Delta, and passes. Portent of Calamity, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We are going to Null Drift. See if we can draw our way into a colored source of mana. And in theory, it can block something. Well, Null Drifter. All right, they're going to counterspell it. Well, we draw 2 cards. Man, we still didn't hit a colored source of mana. This keeps getting more and more awkward. We will discard a Portent of Calamity. Opponent. Gonna send the Frog to the air. I mean, I think we're gonna try to dismember it, although I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Block the Manifest. Sack a spawn. This hurts a lot, but we don't really have a choice. Try to dismember the Frog? If this doesn't work, we die. Yeah, all right. Well, let's see if they try to kill us. In theory, they can just discard their hand for lethal. They're gonna go for it, and it's gonna work. Yeah. All right, well, no colored mana made that one pretty tricky. Good news is we are going to be on the play for game number 3. Actually, you know what? Let's go back up Myco Spawn. On the play, Myco Spawn's so brutal when it works. We'll go 2 Mystical Disputes. Sand's actually kind of fine. We have the Beseju, which should matter eventually. That does mean we kind of want to keep our life total high-ish, if possible. Opponent, Watery Grave. And going to Thoughtseize. All right, opponent, take your pick. 2 removal spells, a Null Drifter, and a Myco Spawn. What are you most scared of? They probably got to take Kozilek's Command. It's just so flexible, right? It can exile the graveyard too, which is the mode we usually don't use. But in this matchup, being able to snipe cards from the graveyard could actually be the difference between winning and losing. There's a pretty realistic possibility. So I kind of feel like they got to take Kozilek's Command, but this hand's actually a pretty good hand for surviving a Thoughtseize, I think. We also don't know their hand. Like, if they're land light, maybe they feel like they have to take the Myco Spawn. There could be a world where Dismember lets them protect a Frog or something. I think Null Drifter's the least likely. I think Kozilek's Command's the most likely, and then Myco Spawn, Dismember. Possibilities depending on our opponent's hand. Plus the Beseju makes the Kozilek's Command even better. If it wasn't for the Beseju, maybe they'd be like, oh, we can just counter it, but the Beseju just means they can't just counter it. Wow, takes the Myco Spawn. Passing. Well, that's an Emrakul, not super helpful yet. Well, we will just play a Breeding Pool tapped. I did want that Myco Spawn. I mean, if they play a Frog, they're just going to Undercity Source. If they play a Frog, we can Kozilek's Command it uncounterably. Now we kind of want to hit a Uggin's Labyrinth to do something with this Emrakul. Tamio. Do we dismember that? It is a lot of life. Probably worth it though. All right. Uncounterably dismember the Tamio. Untap. Gemstone Caverns. Well, play the land. I think we just evoke the Null Drifter here. Evoke the Null Drifter, draw a couple cards, get it in the graveyard for the future. All right, there's an Ancient Stirrings, which could be helpful eventually. Well, pass the turn. There's also a world where we just can cast a big enough Kozilek's command that we make enough spawns that we can Emrakul, and then that probably is enough to win the game. Unearth the Tamio, sure. Eldrazi Temple. All right, let's play the Eldrazi Temple past the turn. I don't know what we do about this Tamio. The Tamio might actually get to attack. Opponent cycles Unearth. We might let it attack and just go scry draw and make dorks. Yeah, I think you're going to get your Tamio for a turn. Opponent gets in with the Tamio. Opponent passing. All right, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ouch, uncounterable, 5 and 6. Kozilek's command. We are going to scry draw, make spawns. We're just going all value. They could slink into Stupid if they have Sling. Although then we just get to cast it again. Well, those are pretty good. So let's see. Gemstone Caverns bottom. Talisman of Curiosity bottom. Kozilek's command top. Yggdrasil top. Opponent's going to Thought Scour us. Okay, so they get to mill the Kozilek's command and a Dismember. Draws a card. Well, that's Ancient Stirrings. Well, this maybe clears the way for Yggdrasil. Misty, they gotta have Force Blue card. Misty Kraken. Forest. Yggdrasil. Do we have Force Blue card? Oh! Has it all. Every single bit of it. Every single bit. Well, we gotta pass. Wow, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That turn went horribly. Pony had every piece of interaction they needed, gets in with the Tamio. Makes a clue. Yeah, that was disastrous. That was straight up a disastrous turn. Double answers for our opponent, makes another clue. 3 mana. Well, they got another Oculus in hand? Oh! All right, well, we need to top deck something right now. Sire of 7 Deaths. Well, I don't know if that counts or not. Play the Sire of 7 Deaths. Oh, we needed that Yggdrasil to resolve. Pass the turn. So we're technically not dead, although I don't know if we're alive. This Oculus gets to just pop off. Huh? I mean, I'm not gonna complain. I mean, I guess they just can't beat the Sire of 7 Deaths? Like, they hit us for 5, but then we hit them for 7, gain 7? And like, does Sire just win the race against the Oculus? Maybe it does, even with the manifesting. Wow. When we got forced, I thought it was done. I thought it was done when they forced us, but apparently not. We are going for the 4-1 somehow with, oh god, Zero Lander. With Yggdrasil and Portent of Calamity in Modern of all places. Are we on the draw? We're on the play. Well, all right. We gotta keep it. This Gemstone Cavern's a little bit worse, but we also need to keep it. What do we put at the bottom here? So it's definitely not the lands, the Talisman, and I'm pretty sure it's not the Mull Drifter. I think it's one of these 3, leaning towards not the Ancient Stirrings. So one of these 2. They're both good in different matchups. You know what? We're gonna go greedy. We're gonna put the removal to the bottom. Removal to the bottom. Let's go. Eldrazi Temple. Please don't Ragavan us or Guide us Souls us. Like, if we're up against a deck that's gonna play a busted 1-drop, we are going to regret. Prismatic Vesta cracks it. We're gonna regret not keeping the Dismember. Forest Fire opponent, and okay, Ancient Stirrings. Well, that's good news. Our opponent might be an Eldrazi deck. I think the reason to play Prismatic Vesta is to get wastes, right? Primarily. It's okay. Should have kept Dismember. Basking Broodscale. So they're the combo deck. Well, there's a Kozilek's command though. That helps. 1, 2. Get down the Talisman and do a little Ancient Stirrings here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we gotta take Labyrinth. Labyrinth is so good. So Labyrinth here lets us exile the Null Drifter, kick the Sowing Myco spawn, get another land, and then that sets us up for a big Kozilek's command. Opponent gonna grab the waste. And Malevolent Rumble. Opponent, what did they find? Another Broodscale? No. A land. They took Prismatic Vesta. All right, that's fine. Play the Labyrinth. Exile the Null Drifter. And let's do a little Sowing Micro spawning here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Kick it. And what land are we getting is the real question. Yeah, let's nuke the forest. We'll nuke the forest. Yeah, probably just Eldrazi Temple, I guess. We have more colored mana in hand if we need it. This lets us, theoretically, get back the Null Drifter and cast it next turn if we want to. Although we might need to play around our opponent's combo pieces. Portent Forest. And there's the Broodscale. Passing. Breeding Pool. Play the Misty. I think we get in with a Myco spawn. I think it's worth it. We're going to get in. If we didn't have the Kozilek's command in hand, then we would need to hold on to it. But because we have the Kozilek's command in hand, we're not going to get one shot this turn. How much mana? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can make 7. So actually, wait, do we just win with an Emrakul? I mean, as long as we don't literally die this turn, I think we can hopefully scry into an Emrakul and make enough spawns to just cast it. That is the power of Kozilek's. That is a way of getting Emrakul on the battlefield we haven't seen yet. We've seen Portents, we've seen Yggdrasils, we haven't seen just the good old ramp into it with Kozilek's command. Opponent grabs a forest. Let's get ready to, wow, Weatherlight complete, that's spicy. So it gives you infinite draw as you combo with Blade of the Blood Chief. All right, opponent makes another spawn, and I'm gonna play the Blade of the Blood Chief. Oh, we're gonna have to kill it, aren't we? All right, well, Kozilek's command. Scry draw, we gotta get rid of the Broodscale. Actually, this is wrong. Okay, hang on. We need to crack the Misty too. Let's crack the Misty. Crack the Misty first, grab a forest. All right, we might as well dump that mana in there too. We'll just go all the way. Kozilek's command. So exile, scry draw. This does mean we're not going to get to Emrakul this turn, but it still should be pretty good. Get rid of the Broodscale. Wow, an opponent just scoops it up. Yeah, there's a Yggdrasil. We probably would have gotten there. All right, well, that went pretty well. We're not a very removal-heavy deck, so we can bring in Dismember. We can bring in, boy, how much combo hate do we want? Stone Brains, Consign to Memories, Haywire Mites. Those are all things that can slow down or stop the combo. The question is, what can we cut, and how many of those can we fit in? Triple Haywire might be excessive. Like, it really only gets the Broodscale, right, in Urza Saga, although those are both good targets. So we can go down a couple Myco spawns. Maybe go down, like, a Portent. Maybe go down a Sire. Another Sire? It's tough because if we cut too many 7s, then we can't really power on our Uggin's Labyrinth easily, which also gets awkward. Yeah, maybe something like this. I don't like cutting that many Myco spawns, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. We have a lot more interaction, which is good. Yeah, I mean, this is a reasonable hand. Lots of Uggin's Labyrinths with nothing to exile, but we got the Dismember, which is big. Stonebrain should be very good against this deck if we can get it down in time. Yggdrasil Temple for our opponent, and passing. Unfortunate timing. If that was one card higher in our library, it would be very good, but Gemstone Caverns, it's like drawing a leyline on turn 1. I think we actually take the Emrakul. I know it's awkward. We'll put all 3 of our Yggdrasils on the bottom. Kind of want to fetch land now to shuffle those back in. The power of Emrakul is just, it gives us a thing to exile the Uggin's Labyrinth, and I think that's what we need the most right here. Opponent, Cavern of Souls, and Flesh Rake. Yup. Doing a little flesh raking. Well, we got to kill that because that's really busted. Ooh, there's Kozilek's command. That's good. So Uggin's Labyrinth, exile the Emrakul, and we might as well Ancient Stirrings. Kozilek's command? Yeah, let's take the command. Again, I think there's an argument to taking the Emrakul there, and then we will just, it's okay, Bearby. We're doing fine, Bear. We're doing fine. And then get rid of the Flesh Rake, pass the turn. So the only bad news is we can't Kozilek's command a 3-drop next turn. So if they have another Flesh Rake, ooh, all right, opponent maybe has nothing. Misty Rainforest. Play the Misty Rainforest so we can snag a Surveil land potentially. Probably gonna end up playing, oh, is this Kozilek's command? We're probably going to end up playing a Kozilek's command no matter what. Like, if we don't have a good target for removal, we will do exactly what our opponent's doing just to get a little velocity. Plus, building up some spawns lets us cast a big Portent of Calamity, which could just win out of nowhere if we can find an Emrakul, especially with our Yggdrasils currently at the bottom, although we're about to shuffle them back in with this Misty. Our opponent scry 2 to the bottom. Finds Yggdrasil Temple. Passing? All right, well, Misty Rainforest, crack it. I think we just grab a basic and do a little Kozilek's commanding of our own. So, scry draw, make spawns. All right, 2 spawns, scry 2. Well, Yggdrasil Temple going bottom. Ancient Stirrings, I think we keep on top. Emrakul, very good at drawing these Emrakuls. Well, that's Ancient Stirrings. Yggdrasil, Null Drifter, Breeding Pool Misty. Yeah, let's take the Yggdrasil. I don't think we're going to play it this turn. Instead, we are going to Ugin's Labyrinth, exile another Emrakul. Because this is the turn they can get their Blade of the Blood Chief off the Urza Saga, so I think we got to play defensively this turn. I think this is just a word of warning for the future. So if you're doing this, is there any reason to not sack the 2 spawns? I can't really think of a reason. I feel like you just get to scry 2 deeper, right? And you get those spawns back anyway. So I feel like if you cast a big Kozilek's command, I think it's like almost always correct to just cash in the spawns too. I mean, as long as we're not getting comboed. That's a lot of mana for an Eldrazi. What big Eldrazi does this deck even play? Emrakul the Promised End. Kozilek's command. Scry draw, exile a creature. Yeah, that's pretty bad. So scry draw, exile the actually, we might as well sack the spawns too. Yeah. Oh, the Emrakul. I didn't even know I played this Emrakul. I am surprised. So scry draw, exile. 1, 2. I mean, this is just purely to try to set things up for after our turn is stolen. Well, yeah, the Emrakul's probably going to lose us this game. All these cards suck. Well, bottom, and also bottom, and also bottom, also bottom. You know what? We'll put a land on top because it's going to be in our hand for this Emrakul anyway. All right. So they can cast Portent for 0. They can return the Emrakuls. Oh, dear. They can return the Emrakuls to our hand. Yeah, I was not expecting Emrakul out of this deck. I guess you got it. We played to stop the combo. But as a result of stopping the combo, we got absolutely wrecked by this Emrakul. And I don't think there's a draw that gets us out of this because they can cast the Portent, right? We can't Yggdrasil. We're just going to... There's not a card in our deck that gets us out of this, so we're just going to scoop as our opponent stumbles around with our turn. Well, Emrakul the Promised End. That was a surprise. Are we going to lose our 4-1 because of Emrakul the Promised End of all things? Does this deck actually play Emrakul? Is that a thing? Is that like an actual thing? Or do we just get kind of wrecked by a one of fun of? Oh, I guess. All right, so this person, which is not our opponent, but apparently the deck that they took, this person's playing a single Emrakul that promised into their sideboard, which does not appear to be, all right, it's the one of fun of, fair enough, we will play first. Well, good to know, there's one random Emrakul floating around in our opponent's deck. Man, if only this was a forest, this hand would be sweet, but we gotta mulligan it. This will keep. Yeah, Haywire's got to go bottom. Opponent keeping 7. All right, Breeding Pool tapped. Go. I think like we played in a way where I wasn't too worried about the combo, but surprise, surprise. Emrakul battles. Little Mama Emrakul beating Big Mama Emrakul. I think Kozilek's command's like the game changer for all these decks. There's a Blade of the Blood Chief. Well, Eldrazi Temple and Talisman of Curiosity. I mean, I guess we could also use Kozilek's command to exile stuff from the graveyard if we really were worried about our opponent. Wow. Okay. Popping off with Emrakul. Gonna eat the Talisman of Curiosity. Well, I think this means we probably just Sowing Myco spawn, right? We're not gonna be able to kick unless we draw a soul land. I think we just Sowing Myco spawn and grab probably another Eldrazi Temple to set up the Kozilek's command. Opponent gets rid of the Talisman. Sure. Does cost them their Haywire Might. Hedge Maze. Well, Gemstone Caverns. Yeah, we're just going to cast the sad Myco spawn. Grab another Eldrazi Temple. Would be nice to be able to get a Ugin's Labyrinth, but we just don't have the support for it at the moment. All right, pass the turn. Well, I'm glad we have 2 removal spells, so we should be able to deal with our opponent's first 2 combo pieces. Bounnet, Cracks, Prismatic Vesta. Emrakul currently a lot of mana. We don't have to worry about that yet. They don't even have any colorless mana. Going to Beseiju and Eldrazi Temple. Well, let's float some mana. Get a forest. Kozilek's command. Scry draw, make spawns. I mean, this is still pretty good. This actually might have worked out better for us than our opponent Beseju'd. Ooh, Stonebrain. And Haywire Might. Okay, so Labyrinth bottom. Misty bottom. Misty bottom. Might top. Stonebrain top. So we draw Stonebrain. We play the Hedge Maze. We keep the Haywire Might. We go to combat. We hit you with the Myco spawn. Down to 18, pass the turn. So we can still dismember if something horrible happens. There's the Urza Saga, but we have a clean answer to that. Stonebrains. Interesting. Interesting. What do you Stonebrain out of our deck, though? Like, our deck doesn't seem especially Stonebrainable to me. This is going to shuffle, so we're going to lose that Haywire Might. Yeah, going to name big Emrakul. So Emrakul down. We're still not in bad shape. The question is, what do we take from our opponent's deck? Well, Ancient Stirrings, we're not going to complain about Ancient Stirrings. Ancient Stirrings is great. Ancient Stirrings. Taking Yggdrasil. Actually, maybe we just cut off the combo. That's probably smartest, right? Play a Stone Brain. 1, 2. Name Basking Broodscale. So now at least we know our opponent cannot go infinite. So our opponent's hand, Kozilek's Command. What else do they have in their deck? They have that one Emrakul. Moto's lagging. Kozilek's Command and another Stone Brain. Exile all the Broodscales. Go to combat. Hit you with the Myco Spawn. Down to 15. And I think we're actually gonna... We're gonna get down this Yggdrasil since our opponent has a Stone Brain. Nothing to exile, pass the turn. We will see what happens. So they can try to exile what now? Like, what's their next target? There's the Stone Brain. What do you go, Null Drifter? You go Sire? Like, what's the... Well, in response, we're going to Yggdrasil. There's an Null Drifter. There's a Null Drifter. That is a huge hit. That is a huge... That's what we wanted to see. That is what we wanted to see. Null Drifter set to come down and do a little annihilating. Opponent's going to name Null Drifter, but you can't take the one that's already been exiled. All right, opponent gets rid of 3 of our Null Drifters. Thankfully, Yggdrasil's got one hiding out. Well, there's a Sire. Let's Ancient Stirrings first. An opponent cannot beat it. Cannot beat it. Somehow, some way, that is a 4-in-1. That is the 4-in-1 with Portent of Calamity, Assassin's Creed, Yggdrasil Eldrazi. Yeah, I was... Oh, I got a lot to talk about with this deck. All right, we got 5 treasure chests because the kids are eating good tonight. So let's crack open a treasure chest here. Let's crack it open our chest, and then I have some thoughts about this deck. We'll do a little wrap up, but first and most importantly, let's feed the children. Chest number 1, we want a Mox Opal. Slick Shot. Is Slick Shot worth anything? Slick Shot might see enough Eternal play. Slick Shot Show Off on Moto. Oh, it's like $6. Oh, that's actually a hit. Death Shadow, I'm pretty sure, is worthless on Moto. It's like 80 cents. Well, okay, chests are like $2.50 or something. So getting a $6 card, definitely a win. Invoke. Why is this not popping up? Whatever. Bad Invoke. Invoke the wins. Planar Cleansing. 25 play points, though. All right, next chest. 3 more to go. We get... Oh, I saw the Boros and I thought it was Flage for a minute, but it's Aurelia. Flage would be a win. Flage is expensive, I think. 2 to go. Assault Formation. Classic budget magic card. Baron. Demonic Consultation. Used to play that card. Or Demonic Collusion. Used to play it in Commander. Well, one more chest. Mox Opal. Or bad Joda. Or not as good Joda. And Followed Footsteps. And some play points. All right, well, chest. We got a Slick Shot Show Off and some play points. So what do we learn about this deck? So we went 4-in-1. And really, there's 2 key cards to talk about. So obviously, the Eldrazi are pretty good. We know Kozilek's Command's busted. We know Emrakul is one of the best things you can cheat into play. Null Drifter, if you can get it down, it's good. It supports our plan. So a Microspawn, kind of a busted card. The removal, the ramp, the Ancient Strengths, all that stuff, you probably know what it does and know how fine it is. The cards that are interesting to me here are really these 3. So first off, Sire of 7 Deaths surprised me because it actually felt like a good modern card. I thought that not having haste might be a deal breaker, but we had several games, or at least a couple of games, where we just kind of ramped into a super fair Sire of 7 Deaths, and our opponent just couldn't beat it. You can't Fatal Push it, you can't Lightning Bolt it, it's like very hard to interact with, it's got a big ward cost, so we definitely got multiple wins, where we just kind of cast Sire of 7 Deaths, and having this First Strike, Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, Life Linking, Ward 7 life threat was enough. So that kind of surprised me, because I thought this was like, I don't know, kind of a new player meme card rather than a legit modern card, but it looks like it might be a legit modern card. Then, of course, we have our 2 big build-arounds. So we know that cheating Emrakul into play is good. We know that even cheating a Null Drifter into play is good, or a Sire of 7 Deaths. Like, that's not the question, is whether cheating Emrakul into play early is a good way to win a game. The question is the pieces we're using to do it, which are very unique. So, first off, we had Yggdrasil Rebirth Engine. This card, I'm still not sure what to think about it. We saw it be incredibly explosive, like busted explosive, where we did things that I guess if you consider Through the Breach to kind of be the standard for cheating things into play in Modern, we saw this just be way faster and way better when it worked. We saw games where, thanks to our fast mana with Ugin's Labyrinth, this was cheating Emrakul into play with haste on turn 3, ending games, absolutely nuts. We also had games where we played it and like activated it 3 or 4 times and just didn't really really hit anything. So it's kind of high risk, high reward. Like, it's incredibly good when it works, and then sometimes it's just not gonna work and it kind of does nothing. The graveyard mode of exiling the creatures from our graveyard, in theory, it combos with Null Drifter. In practice, we played this with no creatures in our graveyard almost every single time. But keep that in mind, there is some upside there. You can like evoke a Null Drifter, then exile it, then cheat it into play. But I think certainly Yggdrasil, way better than I gave it credit for. We'll have to see just how good it is. Is this the new like Through the Breach in Modern? Is this the new like best way or one of the best ways to cheat an Emrakul into play? Maybe. I feel like consistency is still an issue, but the explosiveness is certainly there. Portent of Calamity. Speaking of cards I don't know what to think of, I don't know what to think of this one either. So on one hand, it is almost guaranteed to end the game if we have enough mana, and we got to see maybe the control matchup was the best example where we could just like get down a Beseiju so our opponent couldn't counter it, and build up our mana, and eventually we're gonna like Portent for 20 and find Emrakul and win the game. Plus, since you actually get to cast the card, we get the Emrakul trigger, get the extra turn, so that's all upside. On the other hand, we did also get to see this one with, it's also not guaranteed to find Emrakul. We had some times where it was like, pay 8 mana, draw 3 random not very good cards, and we don't even get to play anything for free. So I'm not sure what to think of this one either. Also, we also cast it a few times and just like drew 3 cards with it for 4 mana, and that felt fine, just card advantage. I don't know, these cards are very weird and non-traditional, so I will say overall, I feel like these cards have an incredibly high power level, and we just saw we went 4-1 with these very unique cards I don't usually see playing Modern, so it certainly can win games, and certainly can 5-0 league, no doubt about it. Whether or not these are the new Through the Breach, and we're going to see a new Modern archetype that is Yggdrasils and Portent of Calamities, that I'm still not sure on, but for now, it's a really unique way to cheat things into play. It works really well with the colorless Eldrazi theme, especially Yggdrasil, which is another big upside. You don't need any colored mana. You could play this in a colorless Eldrazi deck if you wanted to, and still cheat things into play. So there's certainly a lot of upside there. For now, the deck seems really neat. It's really fun. If you like Eldrazi, but you want a little twist on it, something a little different than what everyone else is doing, I would say give Portent of Calamity and Yggdrasil a try. Yes, there's going to be some games where you end up very sad because you kind of low roll and they don't do what you want and you just lose. But as we saw, you're also going to get a lot of really sweet, super powerful games out of the card. So anyway, that's Yggdrasil. That's Portent of Calamity. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you soon.